Today I want to show you this template project I've been working on for the .NET version of Godot 4. A template is just something that is used as a base for quickly setting up new games. So for example, nearly every game has a main menu, an options page, and a place for the credits. That's basically what I've done here, but with a little bit more features. Hey, just real quick future self-talking here. I just noticed I recorded the entire video in 720p when I meant to record it in 1080p, so I apologize for some of the blurry footage. So when you start up the project for the first time, you'll be asked two questions. What is the name of this game, and what is the genre? For the name, you can say something like Banana Blasters 3. On the right, you can see it was formatted differently. And so this new formatted name will change several things. For example, your .cs project and .sln files will be renamed to this, and all the namespaces and all the scripts in this project will be renamed to this. Next up, you select the genre. So for example, if I selected 3D FPS, all the 2D platformer assets and 2D top-down assets would get deleted, and the 3D FPS assets would be moved to more accessible and appropriate locations. And it would set the main startup scene to the 3D FPS scene. So you just click Apply Changes, and a pop-up will come up saying, are you sure you want to do this? Just say yes. So when you hit yes, it'll just close this window. And so just close all the scenes. Don't save any of the scenes. Close the entire Godot project and then reopen it, and you should be good to go. So here's the 3D FPS scene. It's very bare bones, as you can see. There's a few options I'd like to show you. So in display, there's this resolution option, and if you drag it down, you can see your game gets very pixelated. And so you could use this to really speed up your game if it's slow. Of course, you probably wouldn't want to go that low. And then under graphics, there's glow, ambient occlusion, and indirect lighting and reflections. And then, of course, anti-aliasing. I can't pronounce that. And as you can see, all the settings are updated in real time. And here's a weapon reload animation I made in Blender, which I will be adding to the project later at some point. There's also an in-game console that you can bring up with F12. There's a few commands here just to demonstrate that it works. Creating new console commands is fairly easy. You just add this new console command attribute with the first argument being the name of the command, and then you can add any aliases you want, and it also supports adding parameters. Here's the 2D platformer scene. It's pretty bare bones. There's not much going on here. I set up this tile set, which I actually created the art for, and I just imported it into Godot and set up some auto tiles. I created this project called Sankari, which you can check out, which has a lot more features than this. Here's some footage of the Sankari project. I probably would say the hardest thing about this project was just nailing the player movement. That was so hard to figure out. I'll leave a link to this in the description. And of course, you're free to use this tile set I've created in your game. So for the top-down scene, it just used to be a player just moving around, but I've actually ported over my multiplayer code, which I achieved using enet C#, and I'll just show you that now. So for example, I could say username is Valk, let's start the server, join the server. So nothing really interesting going on here, but let's say this client joins, and then this client joins, and maybe give this guy a username called Banana, and he can join as well. As you can see, all the positions are updated, and I can leave a server and then rejoin the server, and all the positions are correct and everything. And yeah, for this next part, I spend a lot of time explaining how the multiplayer code works. But if you don't care about that, just skip ahead. I'll be sure to timestamp everything in the video. So now I'm going to attempt to explain all the multiplayer code I've set up. Let's just look at this start server method. So here's how you would start the server. You just pass in the port and the max number of players allowed on the server at one time. And then there's, of course, to start the client, pass in the IP and the port, and then when the client successfully connects to the server, send a packet with the username, the client's username and position. So if we look at this packet class, any packet class that starts with C means it's a client packet. It's a packet that's sent from the client to the server, and likewise any class, any packet that has an S at the front is just a packet, a server packet sent from the server to all the clients, or a client. So in this C packet join, we're just sending two pieces of information, the username and the position. See, this is where we send it when we connect. So on the client side, we write this data, and it has to be in this specific order, and we have to read it on the server side in the same order we wrote it client side. And so if you hover over this handle method, it'll say the packet handled server side. So this is code unique to the server thread. See, there's two threads, the client thread and then there's the server thread. So here on the server thread, we're just keeping track of this new player server side, and then we're sending this new server packet back to the player saying we acknowledged your connection. And we're just going to tell you about all the other players on this server, and then we tell everyone else about this new player by sending this server packet player join leave. So first, let's look at this connection acknowledged packet. So here we're just sending the other players to this new player that joined. And so first we have to write the size of this dictionary because the client won't know the size of the dictionary. And again, we have to write it in a very specific order, and we have to read that in the same order we wrote it. And then we call this function add local player and another function add other player. And if we look at that, this is how we create the local player, and here's how we create the other player. So here's in StartNet, we're just starting this timer that periodically sends this C packet position. The client is sending their position to the server every 100 milliseconds. As you can see, that's all this is. And so if we go back to here, then we can look at this server packet player join leave. It's just telling everyone else about this new player, right? So sending all this information. As you can see, I'm making use of this boolean, so we're not writing unnecessary information we don't have to. And yeah, that's pretty much all that this is. And the end result of all of this is what you saw earlier, just the positions changing on each client's screen. Here's what the credit scene looks like. The background picture is a picture of a cat because there's the there's actually a mod that I've added that replaced the background picture. It used to be something else. There's two buttons down here. You can pause and resume the credits and make the credits faster, and you can actually click on any of these links. Here's what the credits.txt looks like. As you can see, I have a header 1 here, header 2. You just have to add this and it'll convert it to that header, and anything capitalized would be translated to the appropriate language. When you're logging stuff, try to avoid using GD.Print. Instead, use Game.Log. The reason being it's thread safe, so whenever you do multiplayer, your game might crash less, or your logs won't be all jumbled. So there's this useful extension I created called .PrintFull. So for example, you could do GD.Print new Pikachu.PrintFull, and if you run this, it would print the entire contents of this Pikachu instance. If you need to execute code before the game exits, you can listen to this event called onQuit. All the options are stored in this resource script. If you want to add a new option, just make it an export, and then whenever you need to access anything from the options, just add export options manager to any of your scripts, and then you can drag something called options manager. Just drag that to the export, and then all you have to do is say something like options manager.options. And then the option that you added, for example, maybe music volume or whatever. I did figure out how to get C# scripts executed in mods, but it's very limiting because two mods can't have the same scripts in the same name, because then for some reason they'll conflict and it'll just crash the game, and I still haven't figured out how to solve that. Other than that, with mods you can easily change the textures and the music and whatever assets are in the game. Just as a developer, you need to show your community the folder structure of where these assets are. Then your modders will have a much easier time replacing them. There's this services script I made which helps you mitigate the use of using the static keyword everywhere, which will make your life a lot easier. I created this new Discord specific to Godot C# developers. There's a place where you can showcase your projects, and there's another place where you can post your projects to collaborate with other people. Sadly, I'm the only person who's made a post here. And most importantly, there's a channel for asking help specific to Godot C#. I will leave a link to this Discord in the description. Yeah, that's about it. I probably forgot to talk about some things. I just called it Template, this project name, Template. I couldn't come up with a better name. If you can think of a better name for it, just tell me in the comments section. And I just hope you find this project useful as I have.